Wherever you are. Thanks for being on camera, those of you that are on camera. And for those of you that aren't, if you can join us on camera, we would like that. And if you can't, we understand. And if you're like Candace, don't look at the camera while you're driving. All right, we'll give it a few minutes. Hey, while we're waiting, let us know. First of all, I hope everyone had a great Easter weekend. Uh, put in the chat where you are, what market you're joining us from, and I will do the same. All right, we'll just give it another minute and then we'll get started. So welcome to the April 2025 Pro Partner Webinar. As you guys know, we do these every month. These webinars are for all our Pro Plus teams and their team members. The reason we do this is this is the one time of the month where we connect with everyone. We can share what things we're doing that are new. We can share what things are working. And we also always have a team that we have on that we get to interview and hear about their scripts, their dialogues, their best practices, their tactics, how they're being successful. If you have a team that you think would be um, a great team to be featured on one of our upcoming webinars, make sure you let your success manager or myself know, because we would love to feature you. So um, let's get started. We there's certain things that we want to keep and we will continue to keep reminding you of. And those are the things that lead to success on our platform. The top teams on our platform are converting at a high rate, 5 to 8%. The good teams are at 3 to 5%. We want everyone at 3% or more, because when we know you're converting at 3% or more, we know that you're having a great return on your investment and that this partnership is operating at the highest level. And that's what we want. So we're going to keep doing everything we can to help you get there, uh, including sharing with you what works. So we talk about setting an appointment on the first call. That should be the single goal. We listen to calls. I can tell within seconds if the agent's goal on that call is to set an appointment or not. You can hear it. You can tell by the questions they ask, by what they do when they come on the call. We want to make sure that everyone is focused on that. Here's the reason why. If you set an appointment and you have that showing within the first 14 days, the conversion rate for the agents that are doing that is over 5 times higher than the agents that don't. So the agents that say, well, let me check and see if the property is available, and then I'll call you back, or when would you like to see it? And the consumer says, how about tomorrow at 5? And the agent says, okay, well, let me check and call you back. That's not an appointment. That is calling them back. And calling them back means that you may reach them. It also means you may not reach them. Don't end that call without setting an appointment. In fact, the top agents are doing nothing other than setting an appointment before they say or ask anything else. When you accept a warm transfer, now every time we send out a text notification, tells you that there's a live Movoto consumer on the phone. When you click on that link, it shows you the property that they inquired about. Unless you're walking into an appointment or in an area, where you can't accept a phone call or know that you won't be able to accept a phone call, within 30 seconds later, you want to hit accept, regardless of the property that they inquired about. We know there's no relationship between the property they inquire about and the property they ultimately buy. Every month, we show you examples of someone that came in on a $100,000 property and bought an $800,000 property, right? So don't judge a book by its cover. Uh, live transfers convert 2.5 times higher than a cold transfer. So you're stacking the decks in your favor by accepting those live transfers. Um, these are the sort of the metrics that we look at. Um, we want you to respond when you can, unless you're in an appointment. And by the way, if you aren't going to be available, you should use the snooze feature. But if you forget, um, that happens. But if you are going to respond, do it fast. The agents that are winning the introductions are doing it in less than 60 seconds. They're updating 100% of the consumers that we introduce them to. Um, The showing homes rate is just under 20%, and that conversion rate 3% or higher for the agents that are following the playbook. Um, the three questions we always ask the consumer, so you don't need to ask these questions. We always ask these, is they want to see a property or they want to tour a property. We ask them if they're looking to buy or rent. If they're looking to rent, we're not going to introduce them to you. We ask them if they're under a contract with another agent. If they say yes, we're not going to introduce them to you. And then we ask them if they also have a home to sell. And if they do, and it's in your area, we're going to say, hey, Jenna, I have Jeff on the line. He's interested in 123 Anywhere Street, and he has a home to sell. If their home to sell is in another market, we're not going to tell you about that because we're going to introduce them to a team in another market that can help them sell their home in that other market. So those are the three questions that get asked on each call that we make to the consumer before we introduce them to you. Um, the things that the agents do that are having the most success, they're bringing the energy. They got a big smile on their face. They're treating it like an outbound call, meaning that they are not getting on the phone and coming on the call and asking a bunch of questions. Remember, this consumer was on a site. They were probably on multiple sites. They were looking at multiple properties. They finally found one that they said, hey, I want to tour this one. They filled out a form. They gave us their email, their name, their cell phone number. They accepted a phone call from us from a number they didn't know. And then said hello and accepted the call and then answered our questions and then confirmed that they wanted to see the property. And then we asked them if they weren't already under contract with another agent, would like to be connected to a top agent or team that could help them see that property and others like it. And they said yes. So when you come on the phone, that's the conversation you're walking into. So the proper way to handle that is, you know, Daisy, this is Chris. I'm the local Movado agent with the Heller, the home seller team. I see that you're interested in the property at 123 Anywhere Street. Would you like to go look at that on Thursday or Friday of this week? All right, we set a hard appointment. We set a specific date, a specific time. You didn't hear me pull up the property. You didn't hear me say, well, let me see if it's available. I'm going to set an appointment before I do anything. And then I'm going to find out what caught their eye about that property. And then I'm going to end the call by telling them what's going to happen next, that I'm going to send them my contact information, that I'm going to call the seller to confirm that appointment for Friday at 2 o'clock. And I'm going to call them back to let them know we're confirmed. But otherwise, plan on meeting me there Friday at 2 o'clock. So I'm coming on, asking for the appointment. I'm setting a hard appointment. I'm getting enough information. So when I check on that property, if it's already under contract or already sold, when I call them back, I'm going to say, hey, I got good news and bad news. The bad news is that property is under contract. We can't go see it. They're not accepting any more showings. The good news is you said you wanted a single story home that faced south. I found two other homes that fit that description. I've set up appointments for those. Let me tell you about them, and then we can decide if you want to go see them. Right. So I'm not having that conversation on the initial call. I'm setting the appointment and doing that. Every day between now and when that appointment is, I'm going to send them an email. I'm going to send them a text message. The email is going to be something, could be my buyer packet, could be my resume, it could be here's the last three homes that sold in that neighborhood. I thought you might be interested. And then I'm going to send a text message. And the key is that text message is going to end in a question mark. It's going to say, hey, Jeff, I sent you an email. Did you get it? Did you see it? I don't care what the response is. It could be a thumbs up emoji. It could be a thumbs down emoji. It could be, Chris, I haven't seen it, but I haven't looked. Or Chris, I saw it, but I haven't read it. Whatever it is, because I know if between now and Friday, they interact with me every day that way, by the time we meet on Friday, the foundation of a relationship has already been created. Subconsciously, they're already connected to me. And when I have the conversation about what we do and how we do it and what the process is and getting a buyer broker agreement signed, it's a much more seamless process, a much more seamless conversation than if I set an appointment today for Friday, have no communication with them, and then show up and they're meeting a complete stranger. So those are the things that the top agents or teams are doing. Now, I mentioned not judging a book by its cover. Now, look, admittedly, this is not a bad house. There's nothing wrong with this price point. But sometimes agents will turn down a lead like this or an introduction like this because it may be 45 minutes away or it may be lower than their average price. The person that inquired about this property ended up buying this property. Um, so you never know what they're going to do. All right. That I'm going to stop sharing for a moment because I can't see the chat. Is there any questions about anything that I just went through super fast? And the reason I went through it super fast um, is because I wanted to get to our panel.
Hey, Chris.
Yes, sir.
So I'm not ignoring you. I pulled up my Pro Plus team dashboard, and you know how they have the summary section beginning to highlight team stats. So we're at 6.9% showing house rate, and we're 3.3% trended conversion. And you want us to be at like 8% showing house rate, right? That's like the ultimate goal.
The ultimate goal on conversion rate is 3% or higher.
Okay.
And then on showing homes rate, like here's the thing on the showing homes rate. That's self-reported by you all.
Okay.
So we only know what you tell us.
Right.
Here's what we want everyone to do is we want you to update the status once a month or whenever the status changes. So if you go from meeting with someone to showing homes, you update the status, hey, we're showing homes now. Or they
Right.
go from showing homes to making offers or making offers to accepted offer, or, whatever, whenever there's a status change, just update the status. Um, and um, and then if it's a long-term nurture, every once a month you say, hey, still nurturing or still showing homes, whatever the situation is. Did
Okay.
that, did that answer what you're asking, Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, I think we can do a lot better, but I don't think we're doing terrible.
No,
So,
no,
okay.
not at all. Um, all right, cool. Hey, if you guys have questions along the way, put them in the chat, and we will answer those questions. All right, let me go back to sharing my screen. Okay, so we have a gonna have a fun conversation. This is Harry and his team. They are in Orlando, Florida. That's Mikhail and Lori. Um, let's see. All right. I wonder, hey, Jenna, do I need to be sharing this or can I just stop sharing and then everyone
You
can
can
see our
stop
panels?
sharing it and everyone's
Okay.
pinned.
All right, cool. All right. Thank you.
Joke on
So,
him like that.
all
All
right.
right.
All right. Well, Harry, thanks. And for Michaela and Lori, thanks for being here. We appreciate you guys coming on and sharing with us. Harry, I'm just going to start with you.
Sure.
Now, I already shared like some suggestions that we make, our philosophies, so I don't want you to be influenced by anything I said. But yeah, look, when you're training the team and you're an experienced agent, you worked internet leads like this for a long time. What is, how do you approach the first call, or how do you tell your team to approach the first call? What's the goal? What's the philosophy?
So we do things pretty similar to what you just suggested. Not identical though. We don't tell them that the appointment's set and just plan on meeting us there, although I'm not opposed. I kind of like that. What we do is, we definitely just go for the appointment. And the only thing we do different is we get a secondary time just in case. All right, listen, that works for me. 5 p.m. works for me. I'm going to reach out to the seller to confirm. Just in case that time slot's not available, is there a second? Because what you're doing is you're avoiding having to go back and deliver bad news on the first phone call, reaching back out like, hey, we didn't get in, we can't, that slot is not available for whatever reason if it's owner occupied. So we just try to get them to agree to a secondary day or maybe later in the day. Um, the only other thing we do is we believe in trying to make it very sticky. So that confirmation from Moboto when they call and ask, hey, are you going to continue working with this agent? We just preface that call. Just a heads up, someone from Movoto will be reaching out, just asking if, we were able to take your call, get you into the home, if we provide a good service. If you don't mind just answering, giving us a yes, that you're going to be working with us, getting into this home and moving forward. Just to where they can know that that confirmation call is coming and get ahead of it. Try to make sure we're getting those double confirmations, I think is what you guys refer to them as.
Yeah. All right, great. And I think that's a great idea is letting people know what's going to happen, what's going to happen next. Um, Lori, I'm going to jump to you. You get a text message, you see that there's a live Movoto consumer on the phone. What goes through your mind? What's your mindset? What are you thinking before you hit accept?
Well, I know before I even hit accept that it's a Movoto call because I have a separate ringtone and a separate chime. And even my husband knows that a Movoto is coming in. So if I'm on the other side of the house, he's like, hey, Movoto. So we try to answer it as quickly as possible because we want to get in with the team to get that call to go and make that appointment.
Got it. Great. Um, I have a follow-up question, but there's a question in the chat says, what do you say if you're not available during that time? So, Linda, great question. Here's what we recommend. And if you guys do differently, feel free to share. But what we recommend is when you come on the phone, you see that they're interested in the property at 123 Anywhere Street, give them two choices rather than ask them when they want to see it. They don't know your schedule. You know your schedule. So, if you inevitably, I'll hear agents say, well, when you'd like to see it, the consumer will say, how about tomorrow at noon? And the agent's like, is there another time? I can't do it then. Right? Instead of setting them up for that disappointment, just give them 2 days that will work for you. You like to see it on Thursday or Friday, and then give them two times. They say Friday, you're great. Would 10 o'clock or 2 o'clock be better? By giving them the two choices and then narrowing it down by two times that day, it's going to be a time that's going to work for you. Now, to Harry's point, it may not work for the seller. So you can either get a backup time for them at that point, or when you call them back to confirm, you're going to give them a couple more choices. All right, Mikhail, how about yourself? What's your process? What's your mindset when you get that text message?
When I get that text message, it's pretty much just getting gear. If you need that quiet space, I have a 3-year-old son at home, so I kind of have to prepare myself for doomsday whenever I'm on the phone. So I kind of have to lock myself in a separate room, maybe step outside, get in the zone, and then it's just set the appointment and get out there as quick as possible. And that could be right away that day. So you really have to get into that mindset.
Got it. Got it. Now, what's the let's keep going. I'll keep going with you, Mikhail. When you get to that appointment, um, what's the conversation you have with them about, because someone's going to ask this question, so I'm just asking it preemptively.
Sure, sure.
What
I don't like to, hawk over them while they look at the home. We just set the appointment. We're meeting for the first time. They don't know who I am. We do appreciate Movoto's pre-screening questions, so it eliminates a lot of awkwardness at the first showing. However, once you start talking about the home, maybe the important 4 points about the home here in Florida, we're talking AC, roof, things of that nature. You express a little expertise, and then you come in with some personal questions as well. It's that's the toughest question, but it could get into. I've had with Movoto clients just say right there on the first showing, hey, I'd like to offer on this home. This is how much I'm willing to offer. And then all of a sudden we go into contract. So it can go really, really fast, or it could be a nurture type situation. So you just have to feel them out when you're there. It's tough.
Yeah, yeah. It's learning about them and asking the right questions, right?
Mm.
Lori, what's your process for that first showing?
To actively listen and to just find a way to connect with that person, because there's somewhere along the line that I can find a way to connect. And once they have that connection with me, they have a level of comfort. So it's really just connecting and getting the level of comfort. I can show you houses all day long, but if you're not comfortable with me, so that's what I work on at the first meeting too.
Got it. Got it. Harry, what's the team's like from a training perspective and a training standpoint? What are you training the team to do, to be effective on that initial meeting?
Um, so don't have any preconceived idea about what you're getting into. Perfect example is the homes that they look at versus the homes that they're buying. Just go out there, service mindset. We're here to serve the community and help people, facilitate. You're not here to sell, sell, sell. They'll pretty much sell themselves if they want to purchase a home. You would just want to set them at ease and build excitement. And that's the ultimate goal, is just building excitement through the process. The one thing I do suggest is a lot of people don't know the process of buying a home. They sign up on multiple sites. And if you do not set I guess not the expectations, but if you don't give them a rundown on how things work when you have that FaceTime, you're missing an opportunity. So once you're with them and you can cement that and say, hey, I'm your guy, or, your girl, I'll get you into every home moving forward. You don't need to sign up on any more sites. And at the worst, if you kind of get the feel that home's not for them, take 5 minutes, pull out a pen and ask them if you mind if I take your criteria. This is a 3-2. One other thing I do suggest to do is, if you're meeting with one home, don't ask them if they want to see more homes. There's quite a bit of inventory right now. So the likelihood that within a half a mile or a 1 mile radius, you can find a similar home layout wise that's also vacant is pretty high, maybe even two. If you have time that afternoon, just schedule those appointments, because if you have to cancel last minute, you're not disappointing an owner or a tenant. It's a vacant home. Get them in, print out the MLS sheets. At the worst, you came prepared. They didn't want to see them. You gave them the sheets anyways. You showed that you go over and above and you think outside of the box. At the best, now you're convoying from one property to two properties to three properties. And now they're seeing you. They're mentally programming you as their agent, as the agent that's going to be, representing them moving forward. So take the opportunity to fill the day up a little bit more.
Yeah, I like that idea, having more properties available to show them based on the ones that they indicated. Harry, another question for you. So you just explained sort of the mindset, the training, what you're telling your team. How do you how do you hold the team accountable? Like, how do you know if those things are happening? Obviously, we record the calls. Are you guys leveraging the call recordings? And if so, how?
100%. We have a superstar account executive named Roy, and Roy meets with us once every 2 weeks, picks out two calls every 2 weeks. We listen to them as a team in the conference room. We have, a nice 50-inch, and just sit down and get Roy up on the big screen. Should nominate him for a Grammy. He does well. And then I asked Roy to be the bad guy, so I don't have to be the bad guy all the time. And then we pick apart as a team what they did right, what they need to do better. Everybody gets to hear themselves in real time, and it has been very, very effective in getting over bad habits. That whole, hey, how are you doing? To start, that was an epidemic. Everybody did that. And now, we're hearing it. No one's doing it. Just going straight in. That opening line has gotten way better than it was when we first started already.
Yeah. So a couple of comments on that. What Harry's referring to is when we call the consumer, our reps are going to probably ask them, "Hey, how you doing today? How's your day going?" Right? If you've ever been on hold, you know, um, I was just earlier today, I was on hold, and they transferred me to someone else. When they transfer you to someone else, if you get asked the same questions again, it's kind of annoying, right? Especially when you weren't expecting to be on the call. So that's why we say, hey, don't make small talk. You don't need to do that. They've been on hold. They've been on hold usually for anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes by the time you come on the line. So when you come on the line, just jump right into it. Um,
Right. They
Lori,
don't care about who you are. They don't care about what brokerage you're with or how long you've been in the industry. They care about one thing. Can we get in to see this home, and when? So get to the point, and the first, the first perception that they'll have of you is that you're the guy that's going to come in and actually get the job done after they've bounced around from person to person. So,
yeah.
but go ahead. Sorry.
Awesome. No, that was an important point. Lori, let's talk about those call recordings. How do you feel when your call recordings is being listened to with you and the other team members?
I actually like it. I had a really long-winded, funny recorded conversation that I was glad that the team got to hear. So it's good. It's really good feedback. We all feed off of each other. We give, how we can do things better, but just having them hear the other side too, because we hear each other in the office, but just hearing the other side of the conversation too, and then also hearing yourself on a recorded line, it just makes it a little bit easier and a little bit better for training purposes, just to hone in your craft a little bit more and see where you need to work on.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. I don't think there's a better way to train. Mikhail, how about you? How do you think about those call recordings, especially when that's one of
Sure,
your calls?
sure. I mean, they're a little nerve-wracking, just like, you know, how everyone would feel, I guess, if they heard their own voice. But it's nice. Just to segue off what Lori mentioned, it's you get to hear the other side and see how your teammates are overcoming certain objections, and you can pick and choose what you'd like to use on your next phone call. Yeah, and Roy's been great, giving us, all positive criticism on how we can do better, kind of shorten that initial call to get FaceTime as quick as possible. So
Yeah. And on the topic, so thank you for sharing that. On the topic of call recordings for all the team owners out there, you can request more call recordings, right? You don't have to wait for us to share a couple with you or for your success manager to share a couple with you. If you want more, you can request those from your success manager. If we provide them, we want to make sure you're listening to them and using them that way. I want to shift gears a little bit. Harry, you have multiple agents on your team, like most teams. How do you decide, like, who's part of this program, who's not part of this program, and how do you decide who stays part of it?
So we within reason, give everybody a chance to be successful. I'm a sports guy. I say LeBron James was better than PJ Brown, when LeBron James was 18 years old and PJ Brown had been in the league for 10 years. So you never know who's going to come in with the talent, with the natural ability to convert. Who stays in lead rotation is based on can you come into the office? We're a lead gen team. We come into the office every day, 4 hours a day. Most of the time, there's people staying 5, 6 hours if they're not in showings. We prospect with multiple different lead sources. We are hustling, boots on the ground, pretty militant in our consistency. And if you can show that you are disciplined and consistent, and that you're in this, to build a career, to break bad habits, to show growth and improvement, then you'll get every lead source sent to you. If you're coming in 3, 4 days a week consistently, the last one in the office, your conversions are, also showing that they're not catching on. You get removed, and it's not permanent. There's a chance to get thrown right back in the lead rotation. It's real estate is a business with a low entry barrier to entry, right? So a lot of agents get in the business and they're wanting slam dunks, they're just wanting everything to be a layup. And that was the market for a couple of years. And now we're in a market where the agents that are grinding, that are coming in, that are doing the work, they're going to be the ones that survive, and those are the ones that I'm gonna continue to partner with, and make a marriage with, I guess.
Yeah. All right. I love it. I know because that's a question that a lot of team leaders have and what they think about. Let's jump back. There's a question in the chat, and for Lori or Mikhail, you can, whichever one of you wants to take it. How are you introducing a showing agreement or a buyer rep agreement or buyer broker agreement? When does that happen, and how does that conversation go?
We typically just go with the showing agreement. And yeah, I could go on for hours about how unfair I think this whole system is, and how I think that real estate agents were scapegoated and thrown under the bus. Um, but but yeah, we just go with the showing agreement. We'll make it very short, and we just say, listen, this is what we have to have signed for legal purposes. You're not, agreeing to pay us anything. And then as we get closer to writing offers, that's when we start talking about the buyer broker agreement. And we don't charge our buyers. So we tell them, listen, this is what we need to get it as a legal instrument to enforce payment from the seller based on what they're going to already pay us. We'll negotiate our commission from the seller, just like has been done the last 100 years before we were thrown under the bus.
All right, good. I appreciate you sharing that. And look, for those of you on the call, do what you're being trained to do what your team teaches you to do. But whether you're using a short-term agreement or a long-term agreement, and I think most people have gravitated towards a short-term agreement, like, hey, we before we get married, let's date, and make sure that we think we can help you and make sure that you want us to help you, and then entering into a longer term agreement. That's what we see, and that's what quite frankly what my team does. The let's talk about follow-up, because we know, that's where the money really gets made. Lori, are you responsible for following up on all the people you're introduced to, or is that sort of goes back to the team and they have systems that does that?
No, we follow up on all of the leads that we receive from regardless of what source it is. We have our own system that we use to track our follow-up. So the Movoto leads do get generated into that system, and it just becomes part of second nature, just like all of our other lead sources.
And when do you stop following up with a lead?
Never.
Never.
When one of two things happens, they block you or they buy a home.
Yeah.
If you think it's a waste of time, we have created ponds within our CRM. If you think it's a waste of time, put a note in the system of why you're sending it to the pond. Send it to the pond, to the already contacted pond, not the attempted contacted pond. And newer agents and agents that, maybe they're in a little dry spot and they just have all their daily calls done. They want to jump in, and everybody has free reign to go into the pond. Once someone answers the phone and gives you permission to follow up from the pond, you can manually reassign that lead to yourself. So there's no micromanaging there. Those pond leads are cold leads. I've been online lead prospecting for almost a decade. So there's thousands of leads in that pond. But other than that, if you want to keep it, it's yours. The lead came to you. We suggest you continue to follow up. Takes 2 seconds to send a text message. Text, call, text, call once a month for the rest of your life until they buy a home or block you.
Yeah. And we look, I love that answer, because that is the right answer, right? You never stop following up. And we didn't rehearse that. In fact, I've never even met or spoken to any of you till this
Nice.
to this call.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you, Chris.
So but you made me smile when you answered that question. There's a follow-up question, and a good one, because I'm sure he's not the only one wondering this. And Harry, this is probably more for you. Is there a max number of leads that you allow an agent to take? Meaning, like, do they get to a point where there's just things are going to fall through the cracks? And if so, how do you think about that?
Yes. I think if things are falling through the cracks, we're obviously looking for that, paying attention to that. Ultimately, I think that agents are going to see that holding on to certain leads and not sending them to the pond and giving themselves more of a lead base because, they're like, oh, these are my leads, I don't want to let them go, is actually going to do them more harm. So I trust that we're going to be able to coach the agents. Hey, recognize when it's a dead lead. If they've been 8-7 years, and they're still telling you no. But ultimately, if things are falling through the cracks and we have an abundance of leads and deals are getting done, that's just going to happen. That's going to be the cost of doing business. I don't think that Walmart hyper fixates on, the shoplifting that's going to take place no matter what. So I think no matter how, and we do focus on efficiency, on metrics, on the amount of calls, we can track how many contacted leads per agent do not have reminders set for them. And we do that once a day, every day. And you don't leave the office until, a reminder is set or that call is made. It does get to a situation where, the more agents, the better for some of the leads to go around. But I think we have a good amount of flow versus available hands on deck to take care of what we have. So I hope that's, yeah, we pay attention to it. We hope stuff doesn't fall through the cracks. It's inevitable that some stuff is. But it's having a good balance of the amount of hands on deck versus the amount of leads to go around.
Yeah. And Mikhail, and I'll come to you, Lori. How do you guys make a decision on when you're going to, release a lead into the pond? Like what's the situation that would cause you to say, yeah, this one
I would go with Mikhail for this one. He's been doing this a little longer. Lori's like I don't send leads
They're
to the
mine.
pond.
They're mine.
It's No, I appreciate it, Chris. It's definitely a learning experience. I've been with Harry's team for 5 years, so I've accrued tons and tons of leads, and accidentally sent people to the pond that actually text me 6 months down the line, and then I reassign it to myself. So that's a tough question. It's very situational. I think it comes down to, like Harry mentioned, if they already purchased, they have a family realtor that they just keep using at that point. There's really no need anymore to continue talking with them, or they changed their number. They forward your call for the past 2 years in a row, and it's just been go since then. At that point, that's your call. It's a business decision for sure, and it's tough to swallow when an agent on your team mentions a lead that you sent to the pond that they're now converting. That's a tough one. So we try to limit that as much as possible, but we're not a group of haters, and we back each other up. But yeah, it's situational, Chris.
Yeah, good. No, that's
Mm.
good. And I want everyone to hear that, right? Because there is no hard and fast rule. And look, sometimes just a change of person is what needs to happen for that consumer to react to someone or something. Um, Harry, what on a weekly basis, like how are you holding the team accountable to like the leads they're getting, or are you like what are you doing to make sure that things are being followed up on or appointments being set?
So we do one-on-one meetings where we try to stay focused on who are your next five, who are your next 10. And we are kind of helping people track and visualize what the ROI on those next five looks like, right? So as far as making sure that people are contacting their leads and setting appointments, I'm sitting in the room with everybody while they're prospecting. Our office has 3 rooms. We have 1,700 square feet. There's one conference room that a couple people prospect in, and then we have built-in desks. And then I have a desk out there, right there with the agent. So I'm honestly just sitting there listening. Everybody leaves at 12, 1 o'clock. I do a lot of my broker, team lead, quiet time stuff after everybody leaves. While I'm there, I'm just in conversations with people, talking to them about what they got going on. You can ask Michaela, I'll know like the 5, 6 people that he's showing homes to, like, hey, how's it going with this person? And we're constantly brainstorming because there's a lot of obstacles getting. Buyers are overwhelmed. We're working with buyer agents, we're buyers agents, we're working with buyer leads, and there is, tons of inventory for them to see, and it's taking a village right now to keep everybody focused and keep our buyers focused.
Yeah. All right. That's super helpful. Lori, how when you have a one-on-one meeting with Harry and he's going over, specific leads or where you at on these people or what's up that like how do you like those meetings? How does that feel to you?
It's an important meeting for me because it shows the individual care of your agents. Yes, we're on a team and we're on the calls and we're prospecting together, but it's also to show the support that we have. And they give you guidance on, where to go, how to follow up, don't be too pushy, or just kind of to just show that you're not here alone, that you have people that are backing you up. So it's a really positive experience to have the one-on-ones. It's not scary. Don't be like, oh my gosh, I'm going to the principal's office.
Yeah,
All right.
it's
It
my
just
wife
makes
and
it
I.
make you better.
Yeah, it's my wife and I, and just to segue, for time efficiency, since I know all the agents on our team are listening, we haven't had one-on-ones in about 3 weeks, with holidays, and it's just been pretty crazy here. So guys, we'll do one-on-ones tomorrow.
All right.
After
Coming.
this call, get your
All
top
right.
10 list, and we're gonna make sure your F4s are cleared up and be ready to go. Thanks,
All right.
Chris.
Yeah, there's some public accountability for what Harry just put on himself. Mikhail, look at Lori's a newer agent. You've been on the team for 5 years. How do you feel about the one-on-ones and how do those work for you?
Yeah, no, the one-on-ones, I mean, they put you back in the right path. Um, Sometimes you can forget about a client, or you just aren't texting them the right things. Maybe, a new technique can be used to kind of reel someone back in. Um, I like these meetings. because Harry listens to what we say on the phone calls, for the most part. He's there in the background. If you say something that's a little out of date, he'll definitely remind you. So those one-on-ones is kind of a bigger picture of that. And I like them. I think everyone enjoys them.
Good. Good.
It's a realignment of, it's of the mental framework that it takes to build a business, right? Because everybody on the team is building a business within a business. And it's just, realigning the focus, going over it on an individual lead basis, and then also on a, mentality of the agent. Where are you at? Where do you need to improve? What are you doing well? What has improved? And what's going to take you from being a 1 a month agent to a three contract a month agents, right? Everybody wants 30 to 40 transactions a year. That's the goal. 2 a month is, solid, 24 transactions a year is solid. Anything above that, you are an above average agent. And Lori's gonna be there, and Mikhail has consistently done, those numbers of 24 to 36 every, through the hot years, the cold years. So, it's just focusing on trying to help everybody have the opportunity to achieve their full potential and get up to those 24 to 36 transaction numbers, because, that's, unless you have, went to the most affluent high school and all your friends are bringing in, 7 figures, you need to work these $500,000, $300,000 listings, and let's get it. Let's get it.
All right. Well, again, appreciate you guys being here. Appreciate you being on the spot, being asked questions that you didn't know what questions are going to be asked. Um, we we do this
7.
every month. We want all your teams to have all your agents here so they can learn from each other. We hold these to 45 minutes. We're at 45 minutes, so I'm going to end it soon. One last quick question. Linda wants to know, do you call leads 5 days a week or 7 days a week?
I'd say 6.
Okay.
I'm personally not, this doesn't speak for everyone on my team. I'm personally a follower of Jesus. I'm a Christian, and I do believe that if you want to take a day of rest, you deserve a day of rest. I do say not 5. God only rested 1 day a week, and you're not more important than him. So pick a day on the weekend, crack your laptop, and do some work.
All right. Well, Lori, Harry, Mikhail, thank you for joining us. Thank you everyone for joining us. We hope everyone has a super productive rest of the week. Go get them.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.